So thank you everybody that is here. I greatly appreciate it. And what I hope you guys all have a huge takeaway from here will help you sharpen your skills and improve. I know one of the things in my role with talking with agents, they're experiencing a world where, they're not getting their offers accepted. I had one agent I was speaking to, and she is, 70-80% buyers and doing quite a bit of transactions. And she's like, I just can't, I'm going 3-4 offers deep to be able to, get my clients under contract. And, that conversation happened a couple weeks ago, and it just kind of sparked this idea that I really wanted to teach a class, just for the Valley in general, whoever could sign up, join on, all that good stuff. And so with that, as you guys can see here, we're going to talk about how to give your buyer the edge on, in today's market on multiple offers. And so what you can plan to learn today, as you saw in your emails and such, is that we will be talking about how you can set great expectations with your clients from day one, how you can leverage the MLS as well. And then from there, how you can provide a menu of options to your client to include in their offer. And last but not least, what you can do as an agent. So we'll go ahead and get started and kind of start going over the stuff. All right, so quick vote. I know a lot of you are not in video, which is fine. So you can either, use the raise your hand option here on Zoom, or, feel free to, unmute yourself. But how, if you guys are joining on, I don't want to assume that you are experiencing this, but how many of you are experiencing not having your offer accepted out there right now?
I am.
Ben, yeah. Stephanie? Yep, thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so those of you that are willing to share, how does it feel?
I feel bad for my buyer. Like, it's we're going in strong, and it's just not really cutting it in this market.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good for sure. Who else? What are you feeling out there when you're making offers and not getting them accepted?
Well, for my clients, it's kind of, one of them actually described it as a gut punch. They felt really rejected, and it's sort of part of the buyer's consult process where I have to prepare them. So if there's a way that I could, set that expectation, but then also find a way to get their first offer accepted, would be awesome.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Makes me feel like I'm making my clients uneasy. Like, is this going to happen in the right amount of time? And am I being the best I can possibly be? How are these other agents beating me when our offers look very similar?
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Ben. If we couple what everybody's saying, right? It's frustration. Feels like we're doing something wrong. Maybe, and that feeling. I really pride myself that if I'm going to take on a client, I'm going to treat them like I would treat, the family that I enjoy, right? No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to treat them like family, almost treat them like if I'm the one buying the property. What stops am I willing to pull out if I was buying the home, if I really wanted that house? And so I appreciate you guys all sharing that. I completely agree that it's not fun. And so I hope by the end of the class today that you guys all feel like you have some ammunition or some, arsenal for your utility belt, if you will, right? When you're going out there and you're writing offers. So I hope, I see Casey, I see you got joined on, and, he's an agent in my office. And so, a little bit later on, he had a little story he shared with me this morning. So, I'll ask you for that, Casey, but it kind of put a smile on my face, if I'm being honest, because it is tough out there. And by the way, guys, I want to set some really quick expectations before I move on. This isn't about winning 100% of the time, but some of the stuff I'm hearing out there, people are not winning like 30% of the time, or they are winning 30%. So the inverse is they're losing like 60, 70% of the time. And it's just like not fun, right? This year, yesterday I wrote my 14th offer, and I've had 12 of them accepted. So I had 2 clients that I had to write a second offer for. So we're going to go over that stuff, and I promise you we are, but I just wanted to get a feel for everybody that is on here. So thank you so much for sharing. All right. By the way, I always feel like when I don't ask, people can't see stuff, but you guys can all see the presentation, see the slide, right? See, it says discovery meeting right now, right? Perfect. Thank you, Casey. Saw your head nod, so thank you. All right, guys. So everything starts off very importantly with a discovery meeting. If you are not doing this right now, I challenge you to be doing so. You absolutely need to do a buyer consultation, but I like to call them discovery meetings. Okay. Just because I do work with enough agents, I know how it is when someone says, yeah, I'm looking to buy a home. Can we go look at stuff? And you want to go, yes, let's go look at stuff. I'll show you a home. Maybe I'll be writing an offer tonight. And that is one of the quickest ways that in my 8 years I have lost, is when I am willing to meet with a client before having a discovery meeting, right? And setting some expectations with them. And so let's go ahead and talk about what that looks like from day one. So in your discovery meeting, it will serve 3 purposes. Number 1, you're going to be able to ask some great questions. Number 2, you're going to be able to set some expectations. And 3, provide options. So what are some of the great questions we can ask? Something that I want to make very, very clear. You are the professional, okay? We are not here to grill our client and asking them questions that is going to make them look back and say, well, isn't that what you're for? Like, don't you know the answer to these questions, right? So we're not here to ask elementary questions, right? We're here to ask great questions. And so one question that we can ask, right? Hey, have you heard about our market? Get some feedback from them, right? Yeah, I've heard that it's a complete seller's market. It's insane. I'm going to have to make multiple offers. Perfect. We're on the same page, right? If your client, who here has had a client that goes, yeah, I mean, not really, kind of a thing. And I think it'll, we'll be able to go out and, I'm going to be able to go make an offer on a home. I want to get a really good deal, right? So I want to get a good deal. And you're just like, oh boy, yeah, time to educate you on that, right? So make sure that when you're asking questions, I added it here to question number 1, right? But like, great. And what else, right? What else is such a great follow-up question, right? Because it's their, everybody's going to give you kind of like their initial, like feel-good answer, but asking what else they know, right? Or asking what else they're looking for will allow you to really dive in deep with your client and making sure that you're getting that second level and third level deep with your client on certain questions. Number 2, hey, how would you love for this process to go? What would make you look back and say that like this journey, this process, right? Like that buying a home was a huge win once those keys are in your hand. I kind of want to like echo back on what I said on question 1, right? Hey, what are we hoping to accomplish here? Tell me what you think is going to happen, right? Do you think that you're going to get a deal on a home, right now in this market? Do you think that, you're going to be able to, just, get whatever you want, that, there's not multiple offers, give me a good idea. And while you can tell people this stuff, I will tell you that the more that you go kind of like telling people and kind of throwing information at them, they're going to go into like sensory overload kind of a thing, if you will, because they just, they want to know that you care. And when asking questions, they're going to get that impression that you care. So, hey, again, what would make this a win, right? Listen to them. Do they think they're going to get a deal? Are they aware that it's competitive out there? Okay. Number 3, what are you comfortable financially with spending on this home? Like, what would you like your out-of-pocket down payment to look like? I know a lot of agents that are completely uncomfortable with talking with a buyer's finances, right? They go, that's the lender's, responsibility. That is not for me to deal with, right? The lender will tell me how much you're going to put down, right? Like I just need to know enough so I can write it in on line 12, right? So I just need to know what I'm writing in line 12. That's all I care about. Guys, it may be the 3 years that I was a loan officer, but not knowing your client's finances, like to the point that you know that they would be cool if they had to come out an extra $5,000 out of pocket to close a deal unexpectedly. We hope that it's not unexpected because we're setting those expectations right. But my point is like, who has had a client that the appraisal came in low and now they got to come out of pocket more than their down payment to get the deal done? I don't see anybody raising their hands or nodding. So no one here has had an appraisal come in low, maybe meet in the middle with the seller, and so the client has to dig into their pocket a little bit more to close the deal? No? Well, if you have not, what I'm saying, right? So you got 300, you're under contract for 300,000, the appraisal comes in at 290, and the seller says, I'm not budging from 300, right? Your client still has to put their 10% down payment on 290, and to make the deal work at 300, they're gonna have to pay an extra 10,000, right? To make up for that 300,000, the seller won't come down, or, you know, you're gonna have to part ways. So I've had clients that, you know, and my goal as their agent was to get that down as low as possible. Like, hey, can I get that seller down to like 295, 293, right? So if you haven't, right, appraisals have been a thing out there in the market. So I just want to make sure that, you know, yeah, that, you know, that can happen, that an appraisal comes in low and maybe the seller's like, yeah, I'm not going to budge. So that's why it's really important to really understand your client's financial situation right now, right? You don't want to put them in a situation where they go, wait, what happened? Like the appraisal came in low, like, okay, I'll still buy it at 300. And you go, yeah, but you know, that means you got to come out an extra like $10,000 out of your pocket. They're like, whoa, no, can't do that. Okay. You absolutely should know your client's situation so that you're not finding out in the 11th hour, you're going to have to cancel this deal, move on to the next one. Is this going to be a consistent issue? Okay. So very, very important. And you'll see why it's important here in a few slides. Like, because when they ask you, what's the best offer we can put together? If you don't know this about your client, if you don't know what they're comfortable with financially spending on this home and knowing what their down payment requirement is, it's going to be hard to like really help be competitive out there, guys. I promise you there's a reason behind this and why I'm getting my offers accepted, okay? And why I'm willing to share this with you guys, because it's not magic by any means, right? It is all about delivery and using everything that's available out there to help you win. Okay, so now we get to set expectations with our clients, okay? Leverage the MLS to your advantage, okay? Share stats with your clients. If you don't know the stats out there, like educate yourself, okay? I'm gonna be able to share stats with you at least for right now. So in February to March, right before the stay-at-home order, we were north of 9,000 active residential listings. Okay, keep in mind, I'm not including rentals, commercial properties, any of that stuff, okay? I think we were hovering around 9,500 for anybody that was paying attention at that time. When the stay-at-home order kicked in, right, 2 weeks after the stay-at-home order, we jumped up to north of 14,000 active listings. We had a 50% increase, basically, in active listings right after the stay-at-home order was put into place. And why did that happen? Right, everybody was freaking out. Lenders started freaking out. Buyers were freaking out. Do I have a job? Lenders are like, do these people have a job? What's going to happen with rates? You know, are we going to be in a bad position? And so a lot of things caused for people to stop buying, and then sellers were freaking out. Like, is this it? Do I need to get my home on the market? Right. So it makes sense why we saw such a big increase. Now, with that being said, as of today, by the way, actually, I didn't get to update this today. Today, we're actually at 8,300. This was just 2 days ago. We were at 8,500. If you pull up the MLS right now, we have 8,300 active residential listings. We are now below where we were before the stay-at-home order kicked in. That's why you're feeling what you're feeling out there. People are buying left and right. Rates are amazing, right? There's a lot going on out there. And so what I want to do, just just real quick, I hope you guys are comfortable with the MLS. I don't want this to be that class, but what I do want to share with you real quick is this right here. So when I'm with a client in that meeting, I have my laptop. I am pulling up the MLS and I am walking them through this scenario. So I'm going in here to quick search and I'm going, hey, thanks for everything that you shared, right? Those 3 questions that I asked at the beginning, right? They're not the only questions you're going to ask. You're going to do the other stuff. What are you looking for in a home? Great. What do you plan on? Do you have a lender yet? What's important? Why are you moving, right? But this class isn't about that, right? You have your clients, you're writing offers, but you're not getting them accepted. And what I want to make sure is that you're asking the right questions, right? And getting to know them even at a financial level, and then setting expectations. And so here in the MLS, I'll go in here with a client and I go, great. So, hey, what I want to do is show you what's going on. I know I kind of shared with you that it's a seller's market. There's multiple offers. Let me show you why. And I'll go in here and everybody can see the MLS, right? Yep. Perfect. So I'll switch this to active and, oh, look, we had a whole bunch of listings come on. This jumped up 300. All right, we're back up to 8,600, guys. We can not freak out so much. But I'll go to active and say, hey, guys, I have 8,600 homes that I can sell you. Just FYI, okay? I actually have 8,600 homes. There's probably even more, but at least here on the MLS, I got 8,600 that I can sell you. And I'll go through and I'll show my clients and you go, okay, great. So you're looking for a single family detached home. Great, not a problem. Okay, that brought us down to 6,600, right? I know you mentioned that you don't want to spend more than 300,000. Great, not a problem. That just brought us down to 1,300. And they're like, wait, what? 6,300, or 5,300 homes just disappeared because of our price? And you go, yeah, it did. That's all right. We only need 1 home, right? So you're kind of walking them through this. Yeah, you said you mentioned you needed 4 bedrooms, right? And you want it to be 1 story, right? Again, I don't want this to be an MLS class. And that's why I'm going a little fast, right? And look what happened, right? My $300,000 buyer who wants 4 bedrooms and a 1 story has 3 homes in our entire MLS to pick from. If you do this with your client in person, can you see how that could be beneficial on helping set some good expectations with them about the market?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Can you see how they now understand? I've had agents say to me that I've met, and they go, yeah, my last agent, like they would only send me the homes that they wanted me to see. And I go, in my brain, in my mind, I was like, is this maybe just what they could only send you based on your criteria, right? There was only 3 homes to send you. By the way, guys, I know this is just a random example of 300,000 single family detached, but I don't even see those green dots in our Phoenix metro area, by the way. Like, I have to zoom out. There's one all the way down in Sierra Vista to top it off, guys, right? So when you educate your client on this, they're able to have a better understanding that it's not you, right? By the way, is it them? No, not really. They don't know what they don't know, right? And we're here to educate them, help them better their best. So this is how you can leverage the MLS, guys, just to be clear, to help educate them. So now they go, oh, okay, well, what if we go up to 325? What if we go up to 350? You know what? Maybe talking to the lender is really important. We really got to hone that in, okay? So that's how I'm using the MLS, in my discovery meeting. Okay, can everybody see the slides again? Perfect. So as we continue to set expectations, let your client know what it's like out there, right? Remember that you do this daily and they do not. You want to ask them what they know, right? Because you want to make sure you're not being redundant, but you're the professional, you're the expert. So make sure you're explaining, right? Leverage experiences. Yeah, we're out with another client and they made an offer and got beat out because there were 6 other offers, right? It doesn't make you look bad. You're just telling them what's going on with their way, right? I have to say the same thing, right? People are getting beat out there, right? I have a couple things that we could do to hopefully help your chances on getting picked, but I want you to be prepared, right? way less inventory plus way more buyer activity, right? The perfect storm for multiple offers, right? That's the equation. That's what you can share with them. And we got to keep in mind, right? There's tons of equity for the sellers right now compared to ever, right? And so people are just like, yep, I'll throw my home on the market, right? But then you couple the low rates, as I mentioned earlier, like it's an extreme seller's market because people can negotiate, if they needed to, but realistically, there's enough buyers that they don't need to. Sellers don't have to give away their home. So educate them on appraisals, right? Maybe you don't share this opinion with me, but again, I talk to a good amount of agents, and there's a chance of a low appraisal, especially in multiple offer situations, right? Like you go, well, maybe their list price was fine, but like, I had one client had to end up going 15,000 over to win on a home. There's a good chance that an appraisal might not come in. And let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. Hey, if that appraisal doesn't come in at I'm going to use the example 390, right? It was listed 375, we won at 390, okay? And that 390 deal, if the appraisal comes in at 380, and the seller goes, dude, we had multiple offers, and I mean, you weren't you were the best overall, but other people were willing to pay 390. My clients may have to look up and say, yeah, I guess, we'll pay 10,000 above our 10% down payment or 5% down payment so that we can get the house if the seller won't budge, right? So you should be able to speak to that. And guess what? That way, from day one, you know what, Alex, we don't have all this extra money laying around. Like we have our 3.5% down payment. Like that's all we have. Like, cool. Now we know it's going to be that much more competitive. We're going to have to pull out the stops in other areas, right? This all helps your client knowing that stuff. Okay, a few more notes on setting expectations, right? Be open-minded on the perfect home. Don't buy it if you don't like it, but be flexible on your wants list. You have to if you want to participate right now, right? In my 8 years, I have been able to say, hey, what are your top 5 favorite things? And then go get them those 5 things. I'm not setting that same expectation right now with buyers. We got to be flexible, right? Can you remodel it? Right? I need you to focus on the things you can't change. You can't change the lot size. You can't change the location, right? Like those things that you can't change, I need you to focus on, and are really important to you, right? So help them understand that they should be a little bit flexible on their want list, right? Don't make them feel like they're going to get everything that they want at home. Say to them, right? We have to move quickly. When we go look at homes, we're going with the intent to make an offer immediately if you want the home, right? Quote unquote, sleeping on home with multiple offers could be the difference between having a shot or having to move on to the next home. Do you think it would be beneficial if you set that with them and on day one so that when they actually find the home they want to move on, you're not telling them and feel like you're trying to pressure them into a sale?
Yes.
Thank you, Casey, right? The more expectations you can set about the market and the experience and the process, then later they're not pushing back on you, right? Because what does that look like in the future? Hey, Kate, I'm going to pick on you, Casey, because you're unmuted, right? Like, and you're my buyer. Hey, Casey, so what'd you think of the home? Did you like that one?
I don't know. It was nice. Maybe we should sleep on it and maybe look another one tomorrow.
Perfect. Well, hey, Casey, I know that you remember when we met on day one, I let you know, like, hey, if you really like a home, we really got to move quickly on it, right? Like that, the sleeping on it, I want to respect that if you want to do that, but just know that we could wake up and then telling us that the home is gone. How would that make you feel?
Probably not good, and you're probably right, considering 2 other agents were waiting to show the home while we were inside the home. So I understand.
Yeah, just know, like I told you then, I'm not here to make you buy something you don't want, but if you really like it, like I'd hate for you to miss out because we weren't in the running because we didn't make an offer.
Definitely understand.
Right? Completely different than being like, hey, what do you mean you want to sleep on it? Like, it's a hot market. Like, you should do something. You know what I mean? So I think it changes it when you set those expectations because you can recall those moments, right? And now you go, yeah, you did tell us that, like from day one. you're right. You're not trying to sell us. You prepared us. Like, you're right. All right. Well, you know what, Alex? It's okay. We still want to sleep on it. Like, if we miss out, we miss out. Cool. Then we're on the same page. As long as you know that. If you miss out, you miss out. You know, don't tell me tomorrow that when the property's gone, if it's gone, that you go, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm going to move on, right? Or I'm upset. I don't want to buy anymore. That hurt my feelings, right? I've had a lot of buyers have, go, I'm not going to get emotionally tied. It's okay, right? Forget it, right? Like they can't help themselves, right? They're emotionally burnt out and they go, I don't know. That was the perfect home. So we want to help control emotions, guys. You're hired to be the logical person. So bring logic to the conversation, right? We got to move quickly, right? Like, I'm not trying to sell you on something. If you told me you hate it, Casey, you know what? Let's move on. Let's go find you the next house, right? But I think it fit a lot of your needs. It sounds like you would be devastated if you woke up and it was gone. So like, hey, let's make sure that we're just not out of the running. It's probably not going to get just accepted, right? They're probably going to come back and tell us they want something else. So you really technically do have time to sleep on it, but like, let's get in there and make sure that your name's, you've thrown your hat in the ring. So, okay, guys, what questions do you have so far on that part? I want to also, make sure that I don't just keep piling through. Do you have any questions about the expectation portion of it? Okay.
I like them being upfront and acting, telling what their actions need to be right away with this market, because then it takes the pressure off us trying to pressure them into putting in that offer. If they know up front, hey, we see something, we've got to put something in right away, and they know that, it doesn't make it look like you're pushing them. I need to do this to get a commission or whatever. You need to buy this house. It takes that totally away, and it puts it on them understanding that, hey, yeah, there's 2 other agents lined up out here. This property isn't going to be around for you to sleep on because one of these people is probably going to put in an offer after us. And what I've also been doing is I let them know, hey, there's 8 other showings scheduled today. I go into the showing time and to let them know, hey, this is the time I can book it. There's 8 other showings today and there's 4 more tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're going to have to act on this.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, guys, it's very important for me. So why I'm harping on it. I won't say I have a fear, but it makes me feel terrible if I ever feel like somebody thinks I'm trying to sell them on something, like that I'm, just trying to be a salesperson. I don't like to be that guy personally, right? Like me, if I'm not bringing value to your world and you feel like I'm just selling you to sell you, for a commission check, it makes me sick to my stomach, right? Because I don't do it. We all do it to make money. Like, this is our industry. That yes, this is how we pay our bills and etc. But like, I'm not telling somebody to buy something they don't want to make a commission check, right? That's just not me. So the more that I can do to help get rid of that icky feeling when the time comes that they really got to make a move, now they go, you're looking out for my interest. You're not trying to sell me. But awesome. Thank you, Casey. Okay. So next, right, part 3, right? You are the professional, so you need to provide options, okay? So this is part 3 of that discovery meeting. You should be creating a menu for your client, right? Give them options up front. So when it's time, much like the same thing, right? Hey, I told you that if you like it, we got to move quickly, right? Very different when you set the expectation and then bringing it up later. And the same thing applies when it comes to actually making the offer, okay? So you should be creating a menu again, right? And what does that menu look like? So I have 11 options, right? That I have my clients that they get to pick from, right? That they know, hey, got it. Like, I can do that, but I can't do that, right? You're like, you're crazy if you think I'm going to do that, right? And be like, cool, totally fine, right? That's why we have 11 options. I'm not telling you that, Casey, like I said, I know I was going to pick on you a little bit, and this will be right about that time, but I go, well, here's some things that you can do, right? Because if we only tell our client one thing and they can't do that, like, are we really helping them? Are we really the professional, right? But if you go, hey, here are some things that may be happening out there. So like, what do you like and what are you willing to do, right? And you are able to do that at the discovery meeting, I promise you, you can come out well ahead, right? Because guess what? You know what's really dangerous? When you tell your client, hey, you should put in an escalation clause, right? I'm going to use one that everybody's heard, okay? Everybody knows that word. And yes, it's in here, but we'll talk about it more, right? You use a word like that and they go, you want me to put in like this thing that keeps rising, just based on what other people are doing? Are you insane, right? If you ask them to do that and never had brought it up to them before, right? And you're asking them on, now when you're writing an offer, right? They may be like, what are you doing, right? Like, are you really looking out for me? So you might get lucky and that person has heard about it before, their friends told them they may need to do that, right? But like, you definitely absolutely want to make sure that if you can set those expectations, right, from the beginning, then you can absolutely help your client win when it comes later. And so these first 6 on this page that we're going to go over are a little bit less risky, okay? They're a little bit less financial, if you will. But so the obvious one, right? It's in there, offer above asking, right? That's very open-ended. Obviously we're already telling our clients to kind of do that, right? But it's an option. You need to let your client know, like, hey, that price may be a suggestion, like a baseline, right? If it's really hot. So we may need to offer above asking, okay? Number 2, keep the offer clean, right? Now, if some of these are obvious to you, I want to throw this out there. Please understand that I understand that they may be a little bit obvious, okay? But trust me, from conversations with other agents, for some it's not, okay? So keep the offer as clean as possible. Avoid asking for closing costs if you can. So what does that mean, right? Don't go offer 10,000 over and then ask for $10,000 in closing costs. Explain what that means, to the seller, to your buyer. Hey, you basically offered asking, right? Some people don't get that, right? What the whole asking for closing costs means, okay? Remember, you do this daily, they do not. So explain to them why it would be important to get a clean offer, right? So can you maybe go to the lender and see if there's a way to get closing costs, paid for by them? Do they have the money, right? That's why it's important to know their finances.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Can I jump in for a second if you guys don't mind?
Not at all. Go ahead. Please do.
Okay. So, I'm fairly new to this part of the real estate world. And, I had a client from Washington State that it was looking for houses in Casa Grande. I made 5 offers on 5 different properties, a little bit over asking, but we had a contingency. The closing date was a little too far out because we were planning way far ahead.
Yeah.
And I was just, he was so discouraged because, and I was trying to explain to him, the offer isn't as tasty as another offer that's closing in 4 weeks because we need 6 weeks or we need 8 weeks, whatever the time frame was. And it was making him very uneasy. So, I went and looked at a home that was a for sale by owner, and the guy had it listed for $345 or $348. And it was, he was kind of being a little stubborn on it. And I just let him know that, hey, you know what? Obviously, this isn't going to work out for my client. So, I can help you the best I can without, without making him my client, whatever. Well, right. Long story short, he came back at me and said, hey, I want you to represent me. And I said, okay, I will represent you if we could list it for what closer to what I think it's worth. So we were going to list it for $300,000. Well, my client in Washington said, well, let's do this then. I want that house for $300,000. And in my head, I still knew that it's probably not going to appraise for that much. But my client's putting down $150,000. So I said, okay, well, I told him, I don't think this is a good fit. I tried to talk my client out of buying this house. He said, no, I want this house. This is exactly what I want, Ben. He didn't fly down to see it. This is sight unseen. So I made an offer, obviously dual agency, made an offer for $300,000, knowing that there's $150 down. Now we're down to what's changed over time now is now we're only down to 120 down because he had to dump 30 into his existing home. Mm-hmm. And the appraisal is right now. Right now the appraiser is at the freaking house. And I know it's not going to appraise for 300. I'd be surprised if it appraises for 280. What do you guys do in a situation where you're begging your client, not to move forward with a property, but they're not listening.
Did you share those same concern that you didn't think it was going to appraise, so it may cost them more money out of pocket?
100%.
Yeah, nothing. There's nothing you can do. I mean, we're not here to. It's very important, by the way, guys. All of these are, you're always offering, right? All you can do is offer your knowledge, but at the end of the day, all we're an extension of our client. They ask to offer this, they ask to do that, right? I see a lot of clients get too emotionally wrapped up, being like, well, I wouldn't do that. And then they try to make that be the case in the scenario, right, Ben? So in this situation, you just go, hey, this would be the perfect time. Hey, the appraisals today, reminder, I told you from day one, right? Like, let's be prepared for the fact that this may not appraise, right? If it does, great, man. We're going to be high-fiving each other to the closing table. But if it doesn't, we're going to have to revisit and see what it means with your lender, financially. Remember, I told you that.
Yeah, I'm beating myself up because I'm looking at all these other houses that are around the same price that, in my opinion, are better homes. But the offers that I was making was only like 1,000 over or 2,000 over asking, but they were getting the same kind of offers that were closing in 30 days. No contingencies. So, okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. Great question, though. I'm sure other people are, I'm experiencing appraisal stuff. So I hope other people are, otherwise I'm all by myself on that one. But, so number 3, have your client write a love letter to the seller. I laugh about this one, even though I provide it, because I'm the one that tells the seller don't read them, but I tell my buyers to write them because I'm here to represent that client in the moment. I want my client, I need my sellers to be logical, but I know that most sellers are emotional. So of course I'm going to tell my buyers to write that love letter, right? We love the home. Here's, we're moving from here. It's our family of this, or I'm, relocating for a job to be, for a great opportunity, right? Sellers do want to know who it is that's going to take over the home that they probably took a lot of great care for, right? In my most recent example, we did a lot of other stuff in the offer to be really good, but we ironically had to go, we went and go to take a look at the property about 2 weeks after we were in escrow, and the sellers asked not to leave the house because of COVID, right? And they were in the house and they go, oh, guys, like, it's so nice to meet you in person. We wanted to meet you since we read your letter with your offer, right? And we've already been telling all the neighbors about you guys. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's mute. Zoom didn't stop working. Yeah, I paused, right? Like, it's huge, guys. Like, to have a seller tell you that after the fact, you go, was it the letter? Was somebody really close to our offer, in competition, but that letter, they're like, that's who should be in this cul-de-sac with the rest of our neighbors that we've known for 7 years, right?
I would like to see who the seller is on that, because sometimes if it's an investment firm, don't waste your time on the letter because they just want dollars. So check that on the tax records first.
Yeah, and right, know that about the tax records. And at the same time, I'll challenge that a little bit, Casey, because you don't know whose heartstrings you could be pulling on. Maybe the listing agent reads it a little bit, and it is about dollars. But if every offer is making them the same dollars, the listing agent may be cheering you on based on your client's situation.
Sure, I'll give you that. I'll give you
Alex.
that.
Yes, sir.
Timing of this letter, is it your experience you include it with your purchase contract?
Yes.
As an additional addendum to the contract, or is it just a regular letter on an 8.5 by 11 signed by the buyer that you include it through DocuSign?
All my clients have just written theirs on a Word document, and just sent it over, so yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. All right, guys, number 4, higher earnest money. Okay. Remember, your clients are protected with contingencies, right? But it really does speak volumes on interest, right? Even if the listing agent's telling them like, hey, the earnest money doesn't matter because like they could get it back if they cancel within their inspection or the appraisal doesn't go good, right? Like, it still shows like, hey, you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, right? So the more they can put up front, it works a ton, okay? I know it from being a listing agent. I've heard it from listing agents telling me as a buyer's agent. Like if your client can put down more money up front, by the way, remember that's getting applied to their down payment, right? They're going to be putting down more money later. So if they can put more up front, now explain the responsibilities of that, right? If you cancel, you lose this money if it's outside of your contingencies, but hopefully we are doing that anyways, right? We're explaining earnest money to our clients and how they can lose it and how it's protected. So why not have the same conversation? Just say, hey, like who here has had a listing, you know, on the flip side, and gotten that $10,000 earnest money, and you're like, oh yeah, just there's just something, a little something about it, right? That just makes it seem like they must really want this home, right? So it's a great way to not cost your client more money technically because it's going to the same place it was going to anyways. It's just the timing of when it's being offered is different. Number 5, tough one, I know it, but try to be qualified for conventional over like an FHA or DPA program, okay? This is why the finance conversation at the beginning is very important. Hey, so you do have some money, but you were trying not to use it, right? Well, what if that would be the difference of you getting a home or not getting a home? In the last 2 years, I haven't had a client who wanted to use DPA, not finally realized like I do just have the money to put down my 3.5%, down payment. Personally, I'm not saying it's always the case, guys. This isn't about absolutes, okay? But I think there's some agents not asking, right? Educating and ask, right? Ask and then educate. Well, this is why this would be important if you could make your down, if you could come up with a down payment instead of getting it from a DPA, or if you could qualify for conventional, this is how it could help, right? We're not making clients do something they can't do, right? If the lender says I can't get them qualified, we move forward, all right? But honestly, I have actually had people be able to qualify for conventional and switch over from FHA. And same with the DPA thing. I've been able to get them not be a DPA, okay? Number 6, be with a reputable lender and title company. Agents keep an eye out for this and speak to it while presenting the offer. If you don't believe this is true, let me tell you that it is, okay? We're not trying to tell our clients who to work with. I understand that, okay? I hope that, I mean, I'm gonna say it regardless throughout this, right? We're not here to dictate who they use and what they do or anything, right? You're educating them and offering things that can help them be in a better situation. Those listing agents, if they see somebody that they go, oh, we always have headaches with that person, right?
Hey, Alex, can I interject something really quick?
Yes.
I've noticed on a lot of these homes, I mean, almost 80% of the time on listings, I've noticed that agents are actually, highly suggesting either, their title rep or, the seller wants you to use, and not saying the seller doesn't, but like, does the seller really want this person more oftentimes than not? I've just noticed it's really heavy on them suggesting their title company.
Yeah. Reality of the matter, no, the seller probably doesn't care. 80, let me go safe. 80% of the time, the seller has like no idea that's probably even in the MLS. It's the agent saying, I know my person and I want to use my person because I know, they're going to keep me in the loop and they're great at communicating, and
yeah, and it always, obviously it makes for a stronger offer if you use them.
Yeah.
But is that, I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of interesting for that.
You will know if it's a hot button for the agent, and we're going to be talking about hot buttons here soon. It can absolutely be a hot button for an agent, but I just got an offer. I just went, was it last night, we got an offer accepted. Me and my clients is who I'm referring to. They countered back on the title company, and I told my clients, I was like, if that's the worst thing that happens and you win, right? Like we'll deal with it, right? But I had one with 10 offers, and that agent wasn't trying to push that topic, and we got to use our title company. So even though it suggested, now remember, it's why I didn't say use the seller's title company, because very rest of a topic. Your buyer should be picking that person And I think you should lead with that. But if they understand that they get a choice, but their choice is to use the seller's recommendation, so be it. But be with a reputable person is really the big topic, right? I'm just going to use the word big banks. I'm not going to pick on a bank, but I get, and other listing agents have shared with me, you get that pre-qual from a bigger bank, and immediately you're like, is this really going to close on time? Right? Like there is thoughts out there. So, if you have somebody, and if you're newer and you're not sure about that, get a feel, like poke at the agent a little bit. Hey, my clients are, pre-qualified with Big Bank USA, right? And they're going to be like, you can hear it in their voice. Oh, okay. Right? Like you're going to hear it in their voice.
Real quick, Alex, I was just in a class with Jeff Murray the other day, and he told me that that was actually a RESPA violation to put that on the MLS to suggest a title company.
It is not a RESPA violation, and I'll tell you why. Enforcing it, jamming it down the buyer's throat is a violation. Suggesting it, requiring it, right?
So, yeah, insisting, he said.
Yeah, I still disagree with that word. Like, must use title company, like huge RESPA. Please consider, sellers would like to suggest, like, no. Now, you say, no, I have a problem with it. It's good to know if a seller doesn't want to be in RESPA violation and they want to use their title company, they must offer to pay for the buyer's title fees, escrow fees. Sorry, I forget which one, but point being they have to pay for fees. So yeah, it is a fine.
The other day that said must use whatever title company. I almost reported the agent, but it's like
exactly.
We're not going to the house anyway. So
no, you know what, Mr. Agent, counter me and have a verbal conversation with me, right? Guess what? The agent that countered me yesterday goes, hey, the seller has like this really unique financing that they were able to get private money when they bought this house. And the title company has a relationship with the lender because we're going to need a copy of your appraisal, because that's what the seller is responsible to paying towards, is the appraisal price, not the sales price. And I was like, honestly, not that big of a deal. Multiple offers, let's win, let's go. Like, I'm not going to make it a big sting. So, all right, guys, just for time purposes, let's keep pushing on. Okay. The next 5 are more creative. Your buyer may push back a bit. Understandable. You're asking them to get a little, creative, right? So provide an escalation clause. Offer X thousand above the next best net offer. My wording says exactly that. Above the next net offer. Okay. Because I'm not trying to have my clients pay 1,000 or 2,000 above the, above the sales price. I want to pay 1,000 above, because what if somebody offered 10,000 above mine, but they asked for $10,000 in closing costs, right? So next best net offer, okay? That can work great. Hey, you know what? Let's offer for, 385, but like we're good, like going up to 395, right? Or 390, right? And I just been doing $1,000, right? Hey, we're willing to pay $1,000 above the next net, the next best net offer, okay? Now, offer number 8, offer to pay X thousand over the appraised value up to your purchase price. Okay, Casey, I think you said you used this one, right? And you were just sharing that you were having some tough time getting your offer accepted, and you're in my office, so you got a little bit of a sneak peek, if you will, right? And we talked, and what happened there? Exactly.
I've been working with this buyer for about 6 weeks now. We've been put in 3 offers for him so far. One, we were up against 20 other offers. One, we were up against 12 other offers. $300,000 price range. So, I mean, it's kind of the meat. And we've been putting in escalation clauses only. One, we escalated 15,000 over list. Still came up $10,000 short. Another one we did about 5,000 escalation, doing the $1,000 over the net, just like Alex was talking about. Still no success. So the other day I actually called Alex and said, hey, give me a precursor to your class that you're going to have on Friday. What can I do different? Well, we actually did this number 8 on the one that I just got accepted last night, where we went in, basically we went in $15,000 over the purchase price, but then we wrote in there, if the property does not appraise we are willing to pay $3,000 over appraised value up to our offer price of $315. And then in the notes, I even put an example. If it appraises for $314, purchase price will be $315, just so there wasn't any confusion, because I don't want them thinking, oh, if it goes at $314, we're going to get $317. I just wanted to get that totally out of there. We went in, we used their title company. It's like, it's not worth the battle. We're going to keep this as clean as we can.
Yep.
I talked to my buyer and said, hey, a home warranty for this with a pool is going to run you $750, $800. You want to just pay for that yourself instead of asking for it? He's like, sure, we'll buy that ourselves. We had no other concessions. We didn't do a huge earnest money. We only did $3,000 earnest on a $315,000 home. So that could have been bigger, but that wasn't, I wanted to keep everything else clean.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, thanks, Casey.
And that ended up getting it, and we're under contract, and now I hope it appraises for $300 and we pay $303. But
exactly. Yeah, that would be awesome. And so, guys, the takeaway there, and I had the same situation, right? And an agent gave me that feedback. She's like, hey, some other people were talking about waiving their appraisal contingency, but that's just them saying they're willing to lose their earnest money if they back out for the appraisal, right? Because other people, I don't waive appraisal contingencies. By the way, it's not in my options of menus is waive the appraisal contingency. I go, how much more are you willing to pay above your down payment? And I go, okay, so I got to put 10% down. That's, $40,000. We got like 50 we could play with. And I'm like, all right, I don't think we need 50, right? Like, are you cool with 45 saying like, are you willing to put your 40 down and pay 5 over? And they go, yeah. I go, okay, great. It's not an automatic you're going to have to do that. It's just that the appraisal comes in low. It means you're going to get the home for cheaper, but I need you to come a little bit more out of pocket. And it's going to make the seller feel really good. Because what's our goal, right? We want to financially make the offer make sense, right? We want to net them the most. We want to offer security and offer convenience, okay? That's what we want to do for the seller. And so you're telling them right here, you go, hey, we were cool, like selling this home at $375. So like worst case is, I think the home should at least praise for that. And these people are willing to pay. I did 5,000 on mine. Casey did 3 on his. They're like, hey, we're gonna get 3x. They said they're willing to pay that much more over the appraisal price. So like we're kind of like protected. And so this one is huge right now, right? Like this is a game changer right now that I guarantee you go up against 10 offers and unless any of us go up against each other now after this class, right? but yeah. So, all right, number 9, cut back the number of days on your inspection period. Again, educate your client, but I just went under contract last night and we shaved off 5 days, and I'm very on purpose. I already have my appointment set. My client understands that we have a very short amount of time to do what we need to do, but we were able to do this, okay? And so this helped the seller. Why does this do, right? The seller wants to protect their time off the market, right? They want security. You're saying, if I got a problem with your home in 5 days, you'll have your home back. Okay? Explain to your client, explain to your client, explain to your client, okay? But even shaving off anywhere from 3 to 5 days, offering 5 to 7 days inspection period, that seller, dude, would you want to feel like you got 2 weeks before you found out you have to go back on the market? If you owned a home and you were selling it? So let's not let that seller feel that way, okay? Hey, Mr. Inspector, what's your schedule like? Tell me you have availability in the next 3 to 5 days, right? Like, oh, you don't? Guess I got to find another home inspector, right? Be proactive about the things you're doing, but it can be such a game changer. By the way, guys, I want to set the expectation. If you got to go, I understand, but we're going to go to 105, just because the 5 minutes from the beginning, because I wanted to give people enough time. So just so you guys are aware. Offer to pay, number 10, offer to pay for the seller's title and escrow costs. This one is going to start getting there, guys. If this gets any hotter, hey, what are you saying here? Hey, you know what, Mr. Seller? I know you got about $2,000, $3,000 that you're going to have to pay at the title. Let me cover those costs for you. Okay. Now, guys, I know not all of our buyers have like money to throw around. Like, I get it, but like for those that do, let me tell you, when your client is financially, in a situation that they do have money and you don't get them the house, they are probably more irritated than the people that understand that they're in this little box of like, I know I don't have a lot of down payment, I know that I don't have this, right? Like the ones without as much money to throw around are like understanding that it may be a little bit of a harder journey, but when your clients do have that money, I gotta be honest with you, right? Like they're probably not okay with the fact that they're not getting the house that they want. Okay, so this one's a little bit more creative. Number 11, not being done. This is not being done in AZ yet, guys, but I have great relationships in the Northern California market. And you guys all know, right? San Francisco, San Jose, that whole area is like insane over there. By the way, if your client can do this, trust me, I know as a buyer's agent, not fun conversation, but if things are extreme, right? And you go, this is no longer about price, right? Like price isn't gonna win this, right? And I've done everything possible, and the listing agent's like, no, are you kidding me? Everybody else is doing that, okay? Like I said, I don't think we need to do this yet, but I wanna prepare you guys. Have your buyer pay for your commission, and either let the listing agent keep all their commission, like keep it all, let's say whatever the percentage they negotiated, but let's pretend 6% in this for this conversation, right? Let them keep all 6% or let them save their client that money. Okay? Because either the listing agent's going to go completely to bat for you, or they're going to feel guilty and waive it anyways, because they definitely are going to go tell their client, because you're going to put it somewhere in there, right? Hey, buyer's agent to pay for client's commission, and listing agent to remain with all 6%, with all negotiated percentage, right? I know that's super weird, guys. And again,
that can't be on the purchase contract because commission can't be on there. So it has to be on some sort of separate form that we discuss that.
Which is fair. Commission can be talked about. You just got to be careful how you talk about it, right? Like, so I agree. Like, this isn't like seller to pay more commission or buyer to pay more commission, right? This is different. This is setting expectations of like, hey, keep this. So, by the way, I agree with you, Casey, and you want to be careful. I have not had a client do this. I just want to let you know that I know plenty of agents are having to do this in Northern California. Okay. So I agree, full disclosure, go to your broker. How can we best do this? I want you to have the mindset that if things got super crazy, right? What if we're down to like 6,500 listings? I hope not, but like, and you go, there's 12, 15, 20 offers on a home. What can your client do if they have the finances to do so to win, right? Hey, are you willing to pay for my commission so we can either save the client that, because, right, Casey, you said it gets to a point where it's no longer about the sales price, right?
Yep.
So how do you net them more money, right? Or how do you have that agent go to bat for you? So again, keep that in your back pocket. Let's hope that it doesn't show up, right? Like, but keep it in your back pocket. I want you guys to know it, okay? All right, so I can't reiterate enough. The appraisal can be an issue. So it's not only about the high purchase price. First it's net, then it's security, and finally convenience, okay? For the seller is who I'm talking about, right? Now, what can you do as an agent? The presentation is as important as the offer itself. Even in a world where we're hiding behind our screens, you need to pull out all the stops. So number one, make sure you are building rapport, okay? Your first call to even schedule the showing, you should be building rapport with the listing agent. Become their best friend. Hey, Casey, you know what? I know you're probably dealing with a lot of calls on this one. Like, I'm sure it's extremely popular. It's crazy out there, dude. Kudos for you to having to, deal with such a hot property, right? I'm so sorry you're going through this, right? Like, hey, I don't want to be another one. I won't take too much of your time, right? Like, and they're going to go, wow, this person gets it, right? Number two, if your client wants to make an offer, call the agent again. This time, ask for important things to the agent and the seller. Find both of their hot buttons, right? Ask when the seller would like to close. I know it seems very simple, but only a very small amount of agents are doing this. I had an offer, we were 10 offers. We were one of 10 offers. The agent said to me, wow, you're the only agent who called and asked me when the seller wants to close. Interesting. They go, yeah, that was awesome, right? Yeah, they want to close July 29th, which is like 40 days out. What was everybody else trying to do? Hey, we can close in 21 days. We can close in 25. We can close right on 30, right? Like, there you go. They think that was the game. And the seller is like, dude, we have nowhere to go. Like, can we get a little bit more time? Right? Sure, it's easy something that they could counter, but imagine your offer is exactly what they want the second it shows up. Number two, express to them that you understand how the market is, how you've educated your client on that, and both to be as strong on their offer out the gate and to be minimal during the inspection period, right? When you start talking about the stuff that you're telling them to do, right? Ask the agent, again, if you have to, what preferences they have in their offers. Them as an agent, what are you looking for in an agent, right? What do you want? How can we make this a win for you too? You have to deal with this just as much as the seller. Number four, ask them how they plan to handle multiple offers. A seller could do the following. They could just accept an offer that they like the best, right? They don't have to counter. They could ask everybody for their highest and best. 3, multiple counter offer to 2 or more offers, or 4, just counter one offer. Ask the agent how they are going to suggest to their client to handle that. You should know, right? You should be prepared for this part right here. Extremely huge for you to know that, right? If you know that they're just going to accept the best offer, does your client have time to mess around? Right? Do you have time to keep things in your back pocket if you ask that question and that's what you hear? We're just going to pick the best offer. Okay. One thing, get your offer together quickly. Not one thing, I'm so sorry. Get your offer together quickly based on the feedback above, right? Set expectations with your clients of when they need to be available to sign for the documents through their email. Set the expectation with your lender that he needs to get in touch with the listing agent once he sees the email come across from you. Number 3, create a killer email outlining the offer to make it easy for the agent to present it, talking about your client's love for the home, and talk about you and your partner's lender and such, right? So here's an example email, guys, and we'll wrap up. Subject, thank you again. 123 Main Street offer for the Smiths. Linda and Erica, right? Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve both of our clients. I appreciate you taking the time with me both at the open house and on the phone. Per our conversation, I'm forwarding the offer for my clients, Courtney and Joseph Tyler Hansen. Guys, this is a real email. This offer, my clients were sight unseen. I did a video walkthrough at the property that she did an open house at for the opening weekend, okay? As I shared, Linda, my clients are contingent on the sale of their home. Their home's under contract, closes on June 26th. You will see from the paperwork on their home that they finally countered for on or before June 30th, but they all agreed for June 26th. So the contingency will be gone this Friday. The buyer for their home is also a cash buyer. I've CC'd my transaction coordinator. Guys, if you have other people on your team or other people in your world that are be part of the transaction, talk about them. She's a rock star on my team, and she will make sure all documentation stays in order with all involved, including title and lender. Brad with NextGen is our lender, and he's been working, we've been working together for years. I've CC'd him as well, so you can feel free to ask him any questions, about our client. Here are the terms of our offer as follows. Check this out, right? The agent can easily pull up the email and tell their client what our offer is. Purchase price, earnest money, down payment. I basically Google formed the purchase contract on the email, right? You go, here you go, guys. Like, you don't even have to open our documents. This is what we're offering, right? You don't think the listing agent would like a little cheat sheet to not have to go through 9 pages to figure out what your offer is? Imagine this agent is going, oh, dude, Alex, thank you so much, because like, honestly, I can't even keep my head together straight, right? Like, hey, here we go. They offered 380, 3,500 earnest money, 38,000 down payment, July 29th closing, right? She just gets to read a list instead of going through or having to create a spreadsheet. And, I'm not trying to be another inconvenience for them. Last but not least, I've attached a letter from my clients to yours. They love the home and I want to share that with them. If you have any other questions whatsoever, please let us know. We hope our offer speaks volumes to how much our clients love the home. By the way, the property was listed for $375. because price finally became a conversation, we finished at 390, but the rest of it, right? You guys can see my escalation clause, 1,000 up to 386. Buyer willing to pay 5,000 over appraisal price up to our final sales price, right? Response time and HOA related. Everything I just shared with you, we did that, right? We were one of 10 offers. We made it in the round of 3. We got all countered offered, and we chose to go up to 390, right? And we kept everything else the same because the rest of it was huge. And if it's anything like my experience with doing this stuff, guys, then go celebrate, right? While it may not work 100% of the time, get ready to be picked the majority of the time. I kid you not. I'm going on, I go up a lot against a lot of multiple offers. And like I said, I'm at, as of yesterday, 14 offers written for the year, more primarily listings. And so 14 offers for buyers and 11 of them picked. I think, I don't know, hopefully you guys want those kind of same percentages. I don't feel like I've been working that hard for my buyers, and I hear people stressed out, right? That's why I did the class. And so this is some of the stuff you need to know that you're going, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has this stuff figured out, but you should know what you're, at the minimum, now you know what you're going up against, right? Now, can you at least tell your client, even if they can't do this stuff, hey, this is kind of some of those stuff people are doing, just so you know. Then they go, well, yeah, I couldn't do that. So I understand why the seller would go with somebody else if they're doing crazy things like that, right? So your clients will like you better if you can at least tell them why they're not winning, or they're going to love you because you're getting their offer accepted. Either way, you win from all the information. Guys, I'm so sorry. I know the time. I put a little bit of time for Ask Me Anything You Want. So you guys are still here, which I appreciate that we're running a little bit over. But right here, that was everything. I know we went over a lot of information. What questions do you have? Feel free to ask anything you want. I'm an open book.
I've got a couple of quick questions. I appreciate everybody hanging on for just a few minutes. Question number 4 about the above the earnest money. I grant you that is something that does make the offer look better. Percentage-wise, when I was back in, we're 1% of the sales price, and obviously that this last offer you didn't do 1%. Is there a certain percentage you want to do if it's hot? And then are these slides going to be made available? That's the second part of the question, Alex. Thanks again for all your time as always.
You got it, Mario. Thanks for the questions. So number 1, this particular client, a lot of the money was coming from the sale of the home from back in Idaho, right? So they were trying to, they were moving, they had a bunch of stuff. So more upfront was not an option, but with the sale of their home, they had more control. So you're right. I barely even hit 1%, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was like 3,500 flat when we got up to 380, 390. It wasn't even 1%. And I'm suggesting, right, if your client can do it, like I would have asked them to put $10,000 down up front if they had the money in their bank account, but it was all tied into the equity of their home, right? So there's one strategy that I couldn't use with that client because that wasn't an option for them, right? It was liquid cash up front. And then number 2, yeah, I will be happy to blast it out to everybody. I will send out the slides, and then even I hope to get this video uploaded to YouTube, to watch again. Yep. Anybody else? Any questions? Feel free.
I just wanted to interject a little bit more on when I was up against the 9 offers on this most recent one I got accepted.
Please do.
I actually asked the agent what made our offer better than the others. I didn't know if it was the money, if it was over the appraisal or whatever. And she said it was actually how professional it was presented, how thorough it was, that when I'd reached out to her prior, I addressed everything that the sellers were looking for and that I listened to her. And she really couldn't say no to it because I'd addressed everything that we talked about before. And I put it into the offer to tailor it to what the sellers needed. And so she thought it was wonderful. What also helped, not to plug Keller Mortgage, but she is also a Keller Williams agent, so she knows about Keller Mortgage. They do their appraisals right away. So we were going to know where that number was right away. So if there was any issues or whatever, once again, it gets back to shortening an inspection period or even shortening an appraisal period. That was even more advantageous. We'd know where we were right away instead of waiting until after the inspection period, then doing the appraisal and knowing what the number was then. We're going to know it much quicker.
I love that. Yeah, no, all very great points, right? Because again, let's unpackage what Casey just said, right? If we take what he just said, you know, he paid attention to what they wanted. So he probably knew, you know, what the competition was, what was going on, so he could net them the most, right? And he heard how important some other aspects were, whether it was a closing date or they didn't have somewhere to go. I know the story a little bit more. I'm trying to avoid a topic here on like a class setting of like post-possession, if I'm being honest. But, you know, he listened to what was important to the seller and was able to build that into his offer, right? Because there are things I didn't mention on here. There's other ways to get creative, but it might be really, really specific to that seller. And so Casey had a very specific situation regarding post-possession, you know, and again, I'm not going to go down that road for brokers around the world to hate me. All I'm saying is that, like, he listened for those hot buttons and was able to apply that, right? So that's huge, Casey. And then number 3, right? You made it convenient for them. How professionally presented. You gave us everything we wanted. How could we say no? Net, security, convenience. You can win every time when you do that for people, right? How can you net more? What feels like security? Look how convenient I just made it, right? That's why that email, I do that. I made it convenient for the listing agent to present it, right? I made it convenient for the seller because they wanted a different closing date because they didn't have no idea where they were going to move to back in California, right? So awesome point, Casey. Thank you.
One other point, another awesome thing about not getting your offers accepted is this year I've sold more new builds than I have in any other year. Right now I still have 3 under contract because my sellers got fed up missing out. It's like, hey, how about we look at a new build then? Because then you don't have to compete with anybody. You have it locked in. If the prices keep going up the next 6 months it's getting built, you're already going to have equity. So I did that actually with 4 clients. And they got
surprise, guys! Bonus number 12. Go to a new build instead.
It takes the pressure off of them to get the house they want, and they don't have to fight for anybody. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I appreciate you guys. You know, Stephanie, Pamela, Ben, you guys have any questions you'd like to ask? And I know we went over a lot of information, so if you guys have anything, feel free.
No, I am good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was really great. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I apologize for running over, guys. Hopefully it was worth it and had some great information. And those were some great talking points there at the end that we had as well. So on that note, just so that everybody knows, you're good to go. I mean, I'm going to hang out for a little bit in case anybody has any other side topics they'd like to talk about. But I appreciate you guys. And thanks so much for joining. And hopefully somebody's writing an offer this weekend. And drop me a note. Let me know if you use anything on here you didn't have before and you end up winning your offer. I'd love hearing those wins. Casey kind of gifted me with that this morning. So I appreciate that. You know, it was very encouraging leading up to this class. And so awesome for you, Casey. I'm glad you got your client under contract and had them win. So yeah, if you use anything, like, let me know. I'd love to know.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome, guys. Everybody have an awesome one.
Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome. Later, Aaron.
Bye.
Bye.